Aloha! Sunday night. What is it, April 27th, potentially? So whatever's around there. If it's not the 27th, it's that Sunday right in there. So I had another, I guess, gig, I invited myself to play up at Charlotte's Web again. Hotter than hell out there. A little less windy. Actually, significantly less windy. I still ran into some hydration issues. You'll see I did 3 sets. Didn't get there till like 1. I think last week it was there at noon. But, and I mixed in, I'll be putting the sets up during the week. But after this, and the first 2 were both around 106, and then the last one was an hour and a half. And what I was doing, I didn't count anything out, but 10 songs, 45 minutes, and then I'd go to the ukulele for 3 or 4 songs, 15 minutes, all roughly. I didn't time any of that, but then I'd go back to the guitar for 2, 3, 4 songs to end the set, and I liked that. And it was all in all happy with it. There was some train wrecks. I was doing Mellow My Mind by Neil Young in the first set, and I was digging it. And people were there. And it was going well. And then I just fell apart on the... there's sections, the way I break it down, you get the verses and chorus, but I just fell apart on one key part. You're standing. I had the lyrics there, but I just couldn't decide what chord I wanted to put more in than was needed. It was just weird. I recovered, and I brought the harmonica in, which was nice. It adds a great touch on that. I played a lot of tunes with the harp today. I don't think I played any last week, even though I had them there. And it was fun because of that. They sounded good. They just sound good. They played baseball. I hadn't done that in a while. And Don't Pass Me By Ringo. And I do a little harp thing on that. Nothing major, just a little kind of coloring. And the Don't Pass Me By is all me. There's no harp on theirs. And one time I think I did a song. It's in C. And I had the C harp and I just threw in a line and I kind of like it. And I don't even really necessarily remember what I do from time to time. I do when I'm doing it that day, but I may not remember last time. Roughly, just after, Don't Pass Me By, Don't Make Me Cry, and then I do a kind of a fiddle sound. That's what the fiddle goes back. The fiddle was the first one of the, I'm not researching this, but as far as the instruments that still are around today, I guess, that was a big one. All that bluegrass, and you'll always hear them saying we're doing a fiddle tune, or I adapted the guitar to this fiddle tune. There's fiddle tunes, and the fiddle is a great. And that for me, it's a fiddle. Fuck your violin shit, snooty shit. I can appreciate some of that, but nothing like the fiddle. When they're just cutting it. From Bob Wills, and Bob Wills himself wasn't ever the best fiddler in his band. He was Bob Wills. But his band, they'd had 2 or 3 fiddlers. And the other 2 would be just the top of the hill. But most of the band leaders at that time, I think, in those Western swing bands, what was the guy, Adolph something? Cliff Bruner, I think. But a lot of them were fiddlers. I don't know if Cliff Bruner was, but these are, I bought one of those cheap, you can get those 3 CD Western swing. It'll say Doughboy, and it's all just because a lot of that stuff's past copyright or whatever, so anybody can put them out. And they're only $9.99. It's 60 songs, and I've got a couple big Bob Wills box sets because he was king. The guys in his band, and he was an innovator. First guy kind of added the drums, piano, electric guitars into country music and stuff, but But you see a lot of the other names. There was some guys who were somewhat competitive with Wills on the dance circuit, if not in general popularity, because Bob Wills appeared in the movies. But he's the king. I mean, come on. But back to the gig. It overall well, but there was some sloppy parts. Like I did Road to Gila Bend by Los Lobos and Broken Arrow. And a lot of times with the wind, I got my 2 clamshell clipboards. And so I'll put 2 songs up there. And if I can, there's a couple, there's a handful that I know all the words to. A little more, it's hard to kind of... So, like I did Mexicali Blues and put that up there. And it helps you to start the verse. But that one, I really didn't need it, And sometimes with a song I know really well, if I start trying to read it too well, it'll fuck me up otherwise I wouldn't. But Mexicali Blues, all in all, went really good. I did Old Men. That was a tune that I had done last week. That was one of the only guitar songs that I did both weeks here. That's the one by Cor Blund. Just because that kind of fits the audience. It's an older crowd. I mean, there was like 4 people at the most at one time, maybe 5. And that varied. But they were all stayed around and said good job. But so that Old Men tune, I want old man making my whiskey. I want old man singing my blues. And also it's farming country, and it's like, I want old man teaching my horses. And there's actually a horse I can watch the whole time. He's sitting there, it's like 50 feet away from me. And in fact, there was one point where I ended a song, and I think it all in all went well with maybe a couple, and he just did one of those, right, perfect. I hope it showed up in the thing. And I was like, well said. So, but anyway, that Road to Gila Bend, and then I had Broken Arrow by Robbie Robertson. They're both in G. And Broken Arrow I know really well. I had kind of played it somewhat recently, and I just and I have a problem with the way I wrote it down. I did something that it starts with the chorus, so that's at the top. So when I come around, so you got the chorus, first verse, and then you go into then you do the chorus again. And then when I do that second verse, I end up so if I write in blue, I use red ink, and if it's black, I use red a lot for the chords, but sometimes I'll use green. But anyway, so I'm reading the chord sequence for the chorus during a verse, and I keep doing that. And I should know it by now anyways. And I kind of do. That's somewhat of a case where I am looking at it, and it's probably making it worse. And you get lazy, man. You don't remember the shit as well if you're always looking at it. So that one I shouldn't have messed up at all, and I did. And Road to Gila Bend, very simple. It's G, F, C, F, C. And then you go, and I started doing it in B, B, E, A. And now I changed it to G, because G's better, because I can go into other songs out of it. I like going into Bertha sometimes, and you can go, just it seems a lot more. But you should just know that. But that's such an, and I just kept screwing up on the chords. I kept overthinking it or something. Because I'm trying to. You do have to worry about the cadence of the verse. Like sometimes, some songs, if you sing them all the same, like there'll be a lot more words in the last line. It'll be the same chord sequence for 3 lines, and then the payoff, but the last line will have like twice as many words. So you have to change the way the cadence, the rhythm of your singing. And if you haven't done it in a while, you miss that. And then, but I think all in all, I'll try and watch them. It's tough. I like putting them up there, and I did watch a couple of them, and I do just tend to watch them eventually. I don't know if I watched them all. I think my ukulele set from last week still has no views. But I don't know if it's as noticeable to the people out there, because I have been pretty good about just going, you don't stop. Unless it's like at the very beginning of the song, maybe you'll start over. But once you're into it, there's no stopping. You just don't stop. So there was some vocal, and then some of the vocal muddlement was disappointing, so to speak. Just stuff I shouldn't be messing up. But that's the thing. You're just worried about the chords, and like I did "Sympathy for the Devil," and I just mangled the shit out of the fucking opening, the Jesus verse. I mean, I've been doing that song, and that verse has never been a problem. It's the first, please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long years. Stole many men's soul. I was around when Jesus Christ. I don't think I got any part of that. I think I mentioned Pilate at one point. I don't even know what I did. It was a train wreck. But I kept going. I was like, fuck it. I could have... See, that would have maybe been on that line of start over. But, I'm doing a long-form video. So even though... I just plowed on. I recovered, and I think I got the rest of the song pretty much down. And it was fun doing the woo. And that's another one. You don't have anybody with you. You want to do some woo-woos, but generally that's behind the singing. So I kind of threw in, a couple... I think what they call when you go through the chord sequence, even in like for a verse, it's called the chorus. Even though when you're kind of talking about a song, the chorus is, like the repeating part of the song, the big payoff. Like I will survive, that part is the chorus. And but I did a couple choruses at certain points with the woo-woos, and they were fun. Who doesn't like to woo? That was one thing I get a kick out of, though. I'm watching my niece won like a dance competition, or I don't know if it was that or just a talent thing at her school, but or if it was all dancers. Because one thing that I kind of get freaked out about a little, and nothing to do with her thing. She's like the youngest captain, a sophomore of the dance team. I mean, I don't mean to disparage that, but I know nothing about like the makeup of it. Like, yeah, I don't mean anything by that. It's just kind of thinking like how many people are on the dance team. There's probably more than go out for soccer or football. So whatever. But she also choreographed it. So kudos to her. And that's it. You do that for a while and boom, you're going to go to any college you want. That's the sort of shit those arts people who end up being the fucking people who work in the admissions are like that. They were doing that. But anyway, but to the audience. Now, if it was all dancers, I guess it makes it a little different. But if it seems like the younger kids, and it kind of goes out of just the music and the EDM. And also, whether you like it or not, some people don't understand this, but it's generally true. And even John Mayer would talk about it. They basically use formulas now for the songs. There is a breakdown of the beats, and I don't even know about it because I don't care, and I don't care. Because I'm going to do what I do, and I'm listening to shit that most of it was recorded before they did that, and most of the new stuff, I hope, is not revolving on that, just people playing their instruments and letting it, that's how I did it. But anyway, it's all formulaic, and it seems like the audience, they were just going nuts from the beginning. And it's like there's no critical or even a reaction like, ooh, because it's just right from the start. It's like the audience is performing as well, but they're almost programmed to be that way. Like somebody's doing a performance, and it's, hey, I'm all for let's be supportive. It's not what I'm intimating. But, maybe you're watching and then there's a clear reaction where, and it just seems like they're straight out because we're at a performance and this is, and that's what they've done. Think about when you're at baseball and hockey games now. There's never any down second. There's that fucking god-awful canned music being blasted and it's these annoying songs and everybody clap your hands. Are you kidding me? And and the thing is, you have people who be critical of me even mentioning that. Like I have people in my family would roll their eyes and be like, why do you have to? Dude, that's just sad and pathetic. Clap when you want. And it's nice to have the sounds of the game, especially baseball. Like you go to that god-awful Tampa Bay, thank God I think that thing's getting torn down. But you couldn't even, it was like being in a tin can. And it was horrible, man. It's just nice to hear, like they're warming up between innings, to hear a ball hitting a mitt. And people talking around you and stupid shit, and the guy yelling out hot dogs, and instead it's like, everybody clap your hands. Sorry, lame. So, but all in all, the gig again, but by the third set, I don't even know if it was the second. There was one song, I think it was Somebody Got Murdered by The Clash, where my hand, I couldn't even, my ring finger was like so cramped, I couldn't even move it anymore, and I'm trying to make a B, and it was bad. But that was fun. I did Cupid, the Sam Cooke tune, Cupid, into Down by the River. Down by the river, I shot my baby, and then somebody got murdered. That was just my little, love, murder. I like little thematic things like that. But it was fun. I enjoy. The singing is fun. I'm definitely singing better than I thought I could. Like hitting the notes when I'm just, and I'm going. As soon as I start, I'm ready to roll. And it feels good though. Like doing Black-Throated Wind and just singing it. I just like it. So I was happy. There was train wrecks, but I'm kind of looking at it like I did You Don't Know How It Feels by Tom Petty, and I wasn't ready with the riff, so I fucked that all up, and then I just did it. Once I finally remembered it, I kind of did it, so I did like the riff like 5 times. That dun 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 dun. And just with the harmonica, my lips were so dry. Like, there's a couple in there where the harmonica's right, but the rest of it I just couldn't do smoothly, like the the harmonica sound. And those are real world issues sort of things, like the cramping of the hands and the drying of the lips. That, I mean, I'm outside and it's Florida and I sweat a lot, so I just hope it's not something that it's a bummer. Because that's outside of me screwing up. I gotta worry about that enough, and then when my body starts to fail me, it's like, damn. So, but that was all in all happy. I only repeated a couple tunes, the Old Men, and I did Beat It On Down the Line on the ook, because I just had to get that straight. Because what happened is the lyrics I'm reading off, they're old 90s, the paper's like Browning. But the first verse, and I forgot, or I wasn't going to put the chorus. I think I was thinking the chorus is the same all the time. Like, you do a verse, and then it's like, going down the line, going down the... But it's actually different after each one. It kind of relates to the verse, and I don't know why. But anyway. So I got the first verse up there, and then the chorus for that is all the way at the bottom. And the next thing that comes up is the next verse. And then after the second verse, I have the corresponding chorus with it. And then all at the very bottom, that first. And you're in the heat of the moment. It's tough to remember or to look down there and you can lose your place. And all it is going down the line, going down the line, going down the line, going down the line, going down. Hey. Gonna beat it on down the line. But when it's not there, it's tough to remember. I think I got it down like 2 weeks in a row. I got it today, but I think I almost missed it. Oh, I'm talking about that, and they were playing it just now. Listening to May 13th. $1972. I'm listening to the... I had to go through. I do this thing. This happens to be sitting here. This is Dead Bass 10. It's got all the Dead... This was put out after they ended in 95. And then you got inside, they have like... every time a song's played. That is... That's drums. Every drums. Drums is the most. That's half that page and then all that page. But anyway, I notate which ones I have, like from the Dave's picks on cassettes. I've been doing it for years. And I kind of slacked off. And then I've been going back, and all the recent Dave's picks and box sets that have come out, I've been putting them in there. And it was a huge page of shit right here. These were all the shows. So each cross out is a show, and it's 2 sides and 2 columns on that one. And then the Europe 72 box set I'm actually writing in. So that's right there, and I'm filling in. So I'm only on May 13th. We got like 10 more shows to go. This was actually, I think, in a TV studio. But all that's left is I got a bunch of 77 shows, like 4 more. May of 77, the 15th, 17th, 25th, and 28th. And the rest of this Europe 72. And I think there's a July 66 show I didn't get. I didn't notate it. And it's just fun. And I use red for July through December because, you know, I just July, red, hot. And then I use green for the first 6 months because of St. Patty's Day. And just the contrast. And like, you're filling it in. I had a lot of cassettes, and now Dave's picks and all the box sets, they've been around a while. So it's just interesting to see, you know, like, so you can quickly look at it and at least just get a general sense. There's like, you got like, for like May 77 or the Europe 72 tour, I got a whole section of the green there filled in, and that's somewhat unusual, but it's, for the whole thing, it's closing up. It's pretty cool. I enjoy it. You know, one of those nerdy little habits that you can do. And there's actually a lot of new, they discover tapes for shows back in the 60s and stuff that they didn't have the set list for here. They got most of the dates, but sometimes there won't be a set list under it, you know. And more and more tapes come out, and they just... So, but for a lot of the 60s, they got the date without, I don't know if you can see that. But see, those are the song names, you know. But some of them, like that one there, it might have the openers. That might just be the openers listed, and they don't have any of the songs. But they know they played that thing. And by the time they got to about 72, there's not too many missed set lists, if any. So from 66 to 71, they're still finding tapes and stuff. And there's a whole thing going on there constantly. Pretty cool. You know, like just within the last 10 years, Candace Brightman, who was the light technician for the Dead for, I think, the whole time, just about. But she had all these tapes of the 77 tour, which is considered the greatest tour they ever did, and that's subjective. I mean, it's just really good, most of the shows, the consistency and everything. And she just sold them back to them. Like, she had possession of them, and she just sold them back in like 2015 or something. And they found stuff, like they found a bunch of tapes on Keith Godchow in his storage, because when he joined the band in summer of 71, they gave him a bunch of live tapes, because they used to tape everything. Owsley used to they obviously taped everything. Owsley and Kid Condelario and Rex Jackson, who was Candace Brightman's husband, I think. He died, the Rex Foundation. But they just gave him a bunch of tapes to like listen to these, learn these songs, and then he kept them. They didn't, no big deal. And they turned up like, they were that August 6th, 1971 show was from that. Several of that fall or summer, August of 71. And that was an interesting period as well. Because that late 71 was the time when Pigpen was sick. So it was just Keith on piano, Bobby and Jerry, and Bill. Mickey was out of the band from February of 71 until more or less, he showed up for like a gig at the final show in 74, but until 76. So it was a 5-piece. And Pigpen didn't even play a lot of piano piano and stuff. So that was, and Keith was really good in the early days before he kind of probably just, with all the access to drugs, he was just one of those guys who couldn't keep up. But Pigpen was great. There's a band in California. I don't know how often they come out east. I think they did make a tour, but called The Alligators. And that's a famous Pigpen song. And there's some stuff on YouTube, and I recommend it. The guy's like this big, the lead singer, wears like one of those cowboy hat, the beat up cowboy hat thing. And but he's a big burly guy, big beard, and they just do all Pigpen tunes. And it's just, and all the guys up on stage just look like they're having a good time, and just a good thing. And I'm still not sure if I didn't see them, because I spent some time working in Utah, and I went to, I don't know if I did go to any, I think I went to a Rat Dog. But there's this one where they were playing outside. It's like a late night in just a parking lot scene, but their school bus is right there, and there's a big fire, and they're playing. It was just great. They're a good band. I'm looking to see them. I want to see them. That's why I'm thinking I'm really just can't stop thinking about heading west. Nevada, because I love California's a cool ass state, but you can't, the money they want from you and stuff, and the laws and shit, you just can't do it. But I'd also like to be that close I'd like to get to Hawaii once or twice more. And when any Hawaiian acts play, they come to the West Coast quite often, California, San Diego area, and Las Vegas has a lot of Hawaiians as well. So, there's just so much. And also, I got to be honest with you, I love getting high. And being in some weird state like Florida, which is cool in a lot of ways, but like, you can't, if you're medical marijuana, you can't have guns. And so it's just a pain in the ass. And also it's not like they're gonna, let you go. They get fucking nasty about it. So it's a pain in the ass in that respect. It's funny about the gun thing too. Like, it's such a normal thing and easy. Once you learn the safety with a gun and just, how to, just the do's and don'ts, don't ever put your finger on the trigger unless you're ready to pull the trigger. When you're gun range at home, anywhere, don't put your finger on the friggin' trigger unless you need to shoot something. And just don't let the barrel point at anything that you don't want to blow up or die, And these are hard and fast. These are things when you're with a gun that you are very conscious of. It's not like you forget them. And just knowing what you can do with the gun, like you see a gun, even if it's not yours. Like I always just, the situation of, say you were at like a mall and the cop or the security guard or whatever got shot and you were right there, you could grab his gun and protect yourself or your family, or even if you had the shot to get the guy going crazy, you would know how to do that. That's why the palm print and stuff is a little dangerous because of that, and obviously there's an argument the other way but once you know that stuff, and it, like I bought a gun and it was 2 years before I fired it because I was kind of scared. I was afraid to put the bullets in the magazine. I'm like, can these go off if you rub the tip too hard or something? And then I took a class at a place in Tampa and called First Shots. And it was one of those guys like Hickok 45, if you've ever watched that channel. Good guy, one of those guys. He's probably, I forget how old I am, so he's probably like 70 or something, but he's just a gun guy, but one of those guys like could be your bus driver. And he just talks about him and disarms everything. And the guy in this class was like that, and just, you could ask him questions and to clarify and stuff. And it just disarmed all the mystery and really the danger about it. And it's always dangerous. But just it just incorporated the common sense about it all. You got to have common sense, like anything. So but it seems like such a normal thing now to me. Like, it's not like you're like, ooh, like all my siblings, especially, and some of them more than others are like, whatever. It's probably the minority but some of them are like, oh my God, Steven, he's got guns now. Can you believe that? He fucking lost, or he's following these weird people or something, and it's like, no, you're lost. You have a family and you live in New Jersey and you don't have guns. I can't have it around kids. Do you know how many kids, like, in a normal environment down south where, a little girl, like 9 years old, is proud to take a picture of a pheasant or a deer she just shot? And it's just normal. Like, nobody's worried. It's not like, oh, she's going to take the gun and shoot herself. You teach the kids in the normalcy of it all. Normalcy. And, so it's just the attitudes of my siblings, oh, you're just being kids. Dude, those of you know what I mean. And those, unfortunately, probably a majority are just like, oh, guns are dangerous. Why do you need guns? Nobody should have guns. If you're cool, everybody in this country, for the most part, that I've ever come across, none of us ever thought the government was honest or competent until COVID. And then all of a sudden, this side of the country was like, oh, listen to the government. And it was just pathetic. Think about that. Think about MASH. That was a liberal show and everybody knew that. And all they did was make fun of the government waste and fucking incompetency. Written by liberals, acted by liberals. And now all of a sudden, with some shady thing that none of us knew what was going on. But I remember right at the beginning, I'm like, if you're a healthy person, man, this doesn't sound like you need. And I didn't. I went like 6 months and I ended up getting it to go to a fucking Live Nation venue concert. And of course, it was like Dead and Company. And but all the bands were like, Live Nation's making this decision. They were just taking the heat for it because they're a monopoly. They own all the amphitheaters you go into, So that angered me. And I had tickets for 2 shows. My results didn't come back, so I ate the ticket on the first show. I was crazy. I left Plant City. I made an appointment up in Rentham, Massachusetts. And I left Plant City at like 10:45. And the appointment was for like 11:15 the next day, 24 hours away. And I had driven Uber that night, and I still had, whenever I go on a trip, no matter how much I plan, it's going back and forth. So anyway, loaded the car up. I got to Rentham at like 11 a.m. the next day, nonstop. Got my shot. And then after all my valiant effort, I didn't get the friggin' result until like that night. So I missed the concert. It was like the next day, that night. If not even that. I don't know if I cut it that close, I think. But anyway, I got the result at like 9:30 or something, and I was not at the venue, or maybe even a little later. I don't recall being pissed off that I could have been sitting in the parking lot waiting for it. Because at a Dead show, that would have been fun, and people would have been playing. There would have been as much going on during the show out in the parking lot as in the show, of quality entertainment as well, just bootlegs of Dead and Company as well as Dead. It's just nothing like a Grateful Dead concert still. I got a video up of the Billy String Shakedown, which is tiny, But it was a good little shakedown. But everything's like corporate now, just about. All the t-shirts are really well printed, like professionally printed. They've all got their little credit card strips or Venmo, and I miss the days when some guy would make 30, 50 shirts, and it'd be just like they used to have all the dead steal your face with like Red Sox in the middle or Patriots. But back in 1990, that was made by some guy did that. That was right about when it started getting the printing was getting good though, like professional level. And now it's all great stuff. But a lot of it's, you go from 10 to 10, it's the same. For the Billy Strings or Dead and Company shirts, A lot of them are cool, but you don't have the unique factor. You'll still see a few people wandering through there with a homemade one, So now that's the key, man. I gotta go push again to come back next week or find another place. But I gotta find a few more places and hopefully something that's more legit, where it's a clear tipping situation and there's more people. Or they actually give you some money, maybe. And I'm not talking much. If I can get $80 to $200 anywhere in there, I'd be happy. And if I could do that 5-6 nights a week, I think, which I'm more than happy to do, I would think I could live on that. But I gotta go. I want to move. I think I'm gonna. I like Florida. The Florida nights. There's nothing like them. Like I went to Taco Bell after my gig because it really does wear you out. And I got there about 7:40, I recall. And it was just so beautiful. Still light out, but kind of dusky. But you're not in the forest with mosquitoes, and there was a little breeze. And it was just such a nice temperature. Nothing like a Florida night, man. I mean, you get it all through. Massachusetts would have a few, but you get that often in Florida. And there's nothing better. And then they had a rocket launch tonight. And I could see that. I'm probably Cape Canaveral's northeast of me. I'm going to break out the map and try and get it accurate. But I got to say it's anywhere from probably 80. Yeah, maybe 80 to 150 miles, And I'm thinking it's probably more towards the 80 to 100. Because I got to see it. I used to be able to see it from Plant City. And I'm only 30 miles. But I am a good 15 to 20 miles more east, and it's more clear. I was able to watch it a long time. I'm going to maybe see if I can attach it to the end of this. It's pretty cool at the beginning. You can see the big flame. And then it just turns into a dot. But you can actually still see it for quite a way. And it's interesting because they shoot them all southeast for the most part. So it's going out across the Atlantic southeast. And as it keeps going, it starts to look, it's going towards the horizon like it's going down. But it's actually the curvature, So very cool. Very, very cool. So that's that. So the gig, we got to get on this. We got to step it up and find another venue. I like playing there. It's nice outside, but it is literally, it's a way stop for the bikers, There's been like this one guy, looks like Sam Elliott, is there a lot. He must live right around there. But for the most part, people driving by on their bikes, they stop for a beer or two, and they're on, like there was some sort of a biker event in Leesburg, Florida. I'm not even sure where that is. But that was like an event for the day, so they may stop at this place I'm at, Charlotte's Web, and have a beer or two, and then they're going there or coming back. So it's a kind of a regular pit stop, but it's just not. But maybe it can become interesting enough, I'd like to keep playing there though. And but I got to pick it up. I can't just play like on a Saturday or something. Got to be able to play. We want to just step it up. So I'm heading up to Epcot on Tuesday. I got the Pixie Pass, which is like $400. I pay like $30 a month, and it's like $400 for the year. because I wanted to go again. I was looking at the Florida 3 or 4 day ticket, resident ticket. It's like $240 or $260, and for $400 you can get the annual pass. I can't go on weekends, and there's like blackout, like the 18th of December or something's the last day I can go for the year. But I don't give a shit. I don't want to go that bad. And I gotta tell you, I went back I bought it on April 1st, appropriately. I went to the Magic Kingdom on sometime before the 11th. I went to Epcot last week, or went the 11th, whenever that was. And I had gone to the Magic Kingdom before that, and there's too many people. They're ruining it. They keep adding hotels, and they haven't expanded that Magic Kingdom by a foot. I mean, they added Tron, I guess, but that's the first thing. And it actually is like a hangout area over there. There's like a walkway, and people are sitting all up there. And it's cool. It's not at all prohibitive. But I bet you they will eventually have like cast members up there not letting people sit there, you know. I rode Tron too, and it's a different sort of thing. Like you sit and lean over, and there's a thing on your back. And the gravity I didn't feel well. And I had been at the Polynesian earlier, and I had like 3 tropical drinks. So I had a good buzz, was watching, what was her name again? Beautiful name. She was filling in for Alika, who had knee surgery or something. So hopefully I'll be going there Tuesday. I'm going to Epcot, but I'm going to probably leave and go over to the Polynesian after that, maybe into the Magic Kingdom. But because I want to see Mariachi Cobre, the mariachi band, and I got some stuff on my other site, the Pooh. But it was on Fridays and Saturdays, they only have the marimba trio, because they didn't want the crowd gathering, because that's a kind of a little they could just like move the flower bed a little bit. So the full band only plays Sunday through Wednesday or something, and I think maybe Thursday, and that's with all the horns, the fiddles, you know. And so I want to go. So I'm going on Tuesday to see those guys. You know, they play like from about 11:30 to 4:45, like 15 to 20 minute sets, like 5 of them, and I'll catch 3, 4 of them, if not 5 of them. Feel a little, you know, it gets a little weird, but you know, I try and Omar, the band leader, and it used to be Randy. Super nice guys, you know, so they'll come over and talk with you, and so I try and, you know, just make jokes about being there alone and watching them over and over. Well, it's the best thing they got. That's unbelievable music. But I went last week, and it was right after Billy Strings. Yeah, I saw Billy Strings on the 9th, and then went to Epcot on the 11th. So I had the Billy Strings shirt on, and Omar comes over. He's like, "Oh yeah, I just saw a great interview with Rick Beato on that, you know." And you wouldn't know Rick Beato unless you were a musician and on the tube, but also just a musician. And it wasn't like I'm like, "Oh yeah, I saw it." Wasn't that like 4 months ago? You know, and it was only a month ago, I guess. And it was a great interview. But he knew exactly who he was, and that was just cool. So that's that. So that's about it. It was a weird week. I gotta tell you, that gig last Monday, I was worn out. And tomorrow I am just gonna lay low. I'm gonna scout out some places to stop on the way to. I'm going up 27. I gotta go. It's about 20 miles over to 27, which runs right up through the state. I'm right on 17, which runs right up into Lakeland, and I could hit 4 and cut over, but I prefer to go over to 27, because then when I get up, 27's a slightly bigger. They're both like 2 lanes, 65 miles an hour, but 27's 3 lanes at times, and it's also just more populated right now. I'm sure this will eventually be. But when I get up to I-4 now, like it's only like 5 miles when you get on I-4 to get to the Disney exits, but it's always a log jam right there. So now I found a way. I go over I-4 and up a couple miles past the racetrack that's up there, and there's a Love's truck stop, which usually has the cheapest gas in the area, that I hit on the way back. And But I go into the back way where you come out by the Coronado Springs in Disney. So you're not taking the main entrance in, and it's all back roads, so it's nice. And it's very easy to remember too. It's all new construction out there. So you go through like the Stepford housing where every house is the same and right next to each other, which is the way people live now. But boy, I'm glad I didn't have to grow up in that situation. But it's, they're gated communities and shit, and it's all, you gotta have money to live around there, even if I don't know what's going on. But, so it's an easy, simple ride, and it's through nice new area. And you come out, like I said, by the Coronado Springs, where you take a left there, and then you hit the main drag into there. And if you took a right, you go to the Animal Kingdom. So that was a good discovery. And it's nice, too, because, there's like a Publix every 2 friggin' miles. Once you get near I-4. But there's a nice new Publix right there. So I usually stop. And if there's anything I need that's not frozen, I can do my shopping there. There's no Publix here in Zolfo Springs. I have to go to Sebring, which is over 30 miles. And I'm not willing to do that. So I usually try and have one trip at least if there's some good BOGOs I need. Just for my staples like the chicken and the shrimp and stuff like that. So there's some nice pub, and you can use the bathroom there. And it just all works out very nicely. So that's Tuesday. And we just want to, I want to get to Disney Springs because I kind of befriended the guy. They have this little margarita shop where they got acoustic music playing. And I went one day, and I kind of knew this would, or actually I didn't know, but I wore my Doc Watson shirt. And this is the Carter family. Great shirt too, because it's just that picture. Doesn't say nothing on the front or back. So, like, siblings would think it's like a picture from a horror movie, and musicians would be like, oh, the Carter family. But as soon as I sat down, got myself a margarita and sat down, he's playing, and he had some friends there, and right away he looked at me and he looked over his friends, and while he's playing, to like look at my shirt, And then he played a couple Doc Watson tunes. So I didn't follow up at the time, but I want to play there. Because he's really good. I can't play no Doc Watson shit, but I've seen other guys who just are on my level. They maybe don't forget the words as much as I do, but I'm just getting going with the playing live, and there's just something there that I feel that I got to go through it a couple times with every song to just kind of, because it highlights when you're playing live. It just kind of highlights where the parts you forget, or you don't know good enough, Like I did Let It Grow today, and it sounded great. I liked playing that, and it sounded good. I had it down. But there's one part in the chorus there, what shall we say? Shall we call it by name? As well to count the angels dancing on a pin. And that the little sequence, it changes, and it's some weird chords, but it repeats. But there was one point where it's a B chord. It's like an E minor add 9, so you're doing an E minor, but you're also getting the E string on the 2nd fret down the bottom. So your E minor, that's that chord, like, what shall we? It starts that. Then you go to a B. So when I'm going through the second time, this was one of those ones I wrote down in the 90s. And the other day I took my pen and I redid all the words. Like, they were fading, so I copied them all over, right? The same piece of paper, but I darkened them. But I didn't do the chords because I just thought I could see them. And they were in green. But the B there, it was the big bottom, and the top of it was in the word above it. I think it was like count. Yeah, well, to count the angels was written above it. But the top of the B was... So I'm playing a D there. And I'm like, that's so not right. While I'm playing this. And I did actually repeat that line when it took me like 3 times. There's that, but I think the rest of the song was pretty solid. But there was that little train wreck. And it was just I knew it was wrong, and then I don't know. So yeah, one of those situations where you're just kind of kicking yourself. So I got to remember to redo, just take the green pen and now redo all the chords, especially right there. But when something like that happens, that kind of cements it. You probably won't make that mistake even if I don't redo the chords, you know. So, well, yeah, I should probably, I don't know, we'll try and throw on that lift off tonight. It's like 4 minutes. Just is what it is. It's more like this is what you can see if you're in Florida from just about any point. Certainly near, you know, throughout the center of the state, you know, probably from Jacksonville down to, well, on the East Coast, you can probably see it even in Miami, maybe. But it's just cool. You know, he's a fucked up dude, man. All those kids, and he doesn't. I don't know what's going on. I don't care. It's like a thing with like Bob Dylan that I learned a long time ago. I remember one year when I was, you know, in my 20s, probably just really getting into the music, the books about those guys, and like my father and my brother-in-law were like talking in the hall at the house, and I remember a lot where it was and shit, and not what year, but Christmas and or it could have been Thanksgiving. No, it was probably Christmas because I had gotten the book or something. But and just being like telling some, like starting to just talk about, yeah, and did you know Bob Dylan was married to a black lady, you know, and he was married to, not many people do know, one of the backup singers, I think her last name's Springs, from when he was in his religious period, you know, the Born Again, Saved, and the album after that, which I can't think of the name right yet, with Mark Knopfler playing on it, with Man He Gave Names to All the Animals, Regina Springs, I think. But he married her. He had a kid with her. And I'm just like, did you, you know, and they're like, you know, my dad could be. He's just like, I don't give a shit. Like, literally, it was like, I don't give a shit, or did you know I don't give a shit, you know? It was slightly, like, sarcastically, not like trying to be it wasn't a total shutdown, meanly, madly or something, but it was like, I don't give a shit. And I just, at that moment, in my head, I'm like, you know what does shit like that matter? Who he's married to, even who the songs are about. So I still read the biographies or autobiographies of some of these guys. You just want to learn the timelines. You know, and I'm doing more like the blues and country guys like Merle Haggard and stuff now, but it takes away a little of the mystery once you know. But it's also, I enjoy it, just knowing the transition, why they transitioned, who was really who they wrote songs with, or, you know, just them talking about just interesting shit. But I try not to be too concerned about the kids or the wives, the girlfriends, cheating on who and that stuff. You know, it's just kind of where they were, what they were doing, maybe why, you know, if there was a particular guy that joined the band or left the band, maybe those stories and shit. But the personal details, try and keep that to a minimum, you know. We all got our own lives to lead. So, that being said, that was it. And I got one guy there at the gig, he gave me the end of his roach, so I literally smoked during my first set. He handed it to me after like the first 2 tunes or something, and I finished had a couple hits on a roach there, and I kept the rest of it, and I like literally 2 hits, and I had one of those. So I am kind of doing a weedy ramble, and here goes the last one. We'll get a couple out of that. And then he gave me a couple of bills, which was nice. First time I ever received money. First time in a while for the week. But since my niece, Phoebe, gave me $1 to play a song with her, which was cool. And I thought it was one of those, I'm like, yeah, what's wrong with her giving me $1? I'm playing music. So I thought, and I'm very happy that I'll always be able to say my niece Phoebe was the person who gave me my first $1 for playing music. I thought I was very happy to be able to say that forever. Because I don't know this guy's name, but that's the first time since then I've received money for playing music. My brother texted, because it came up. I didn't like text anybody being like, hey. My sister asked more people, and I was like, about the same, but they're staying around longer. And then maybe somebody asked, I don't know, it came up, and I'm like, I got a roach and $3 from the same guy. And then my brother's like, my other brother, Michael, down in Naples, he's like, now you're officially a professional musician, which may be true. Although I haven't joined the union yet. But and then I was like, wait, not until somebody throws some not until a woman throws panties up on stage. So, but yeah. Feels good. I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's pretty good. If I can stop making all the silly little kind of lazy mistakes, I guess. You know, I play every day, and I practiced a lot last week. You know, every day was going through a good amount of songs that I was intending to play, and but still, you know, like I said, that broken arrow falling apart and shit, that was aggravating. It's amazing though, there's still songs I haven't played. Like I hadn't played Deal. I played it today because I kind of forgot about that one, but and that's like a big tune for me. I do kind of a little picking on that one for the riff, so it's kind of one of the ones that feels good to play that I got down. I still haven't played Ship of Fools, which was the first song that I learned all the words to without looking. And I consciously did that. That was when my dad was still alive, and I was staying with him in Naples, in Bonita Springs, rather. And every night, around 10 o'clock, I'd go out into the driveway, because all those old people are asleep. And the Florida nights are beautiful. And I'd go out barefoot with my guitar and play for like an hour, and sing, and sometimes really really sing. He even commented on that one night. Probably had been drinking or something, but I'd go out there and work on that, and I just consciously decided that I needed, and I think it was because of my brother-in-law would always be like, you can't finish the songs, and I'm like, well, you know, even the big guys now, you have the iPads, but anyway, I'm like, you know, he's right, so I'm like, that was the first song, I'm like, I'm going to learn all the words, Ship of Fools, and I still haven't played that, it's one of my favorite tunes, 2 weeks in a row. It Takes a Lot to Laugh, Takes a Train to Cry, another strong one. That was one of the first ones I figured out the cool riff. Not exactly what Jerry does when he plays it acoustic with Con, but John Con on bass. But my interpretation, I'm very close, but I come to find, I thought it was it, but then I have listened back and he does a few little more or something. But it's still cool and it works. I haven't done that one yet, you know, and those are two songs that stick. I haven't done Cassidy yet. Stello Blue, Touch of Grey, Stuck Inside a Mobile. I had that on the list today, didn't get it in there. So, but anyway, that's it. We're getting near an hour. We don't want to do that, and I'd like to attach that other video. So, that's it, man. That's what's going on. A weedy ramble. There it is, folks. Here's the rocket right there. I'm almost on the east coast of Florida here, about equal with Bradenton. And that's looking northeast. Pretty wild though. I'd say it's probably between 100 to 150 miles away, generally. That's as close. I used to be able to see it from Plant City, and not. It's definitely a level closer. See that? And probably just dropped the two things. Pretty cool.
see if anything comes back. So you can see it moving. Well, maybe you can. Yeah, you can just barely make it out right here. Right there. That's it right there. Yeah, right there. Yeah, definitely quite a bit better. I used to have all those trees back in Plant City. We'll keep it going here. Who knows what we might see. I never used to be able to see it that long, for sure. I'm going to check the map after this, so next time I'll have a more concrete number for the miles away. And then Zolfo Springs. That's definitely northeast. I mean, right now that's like due west or due east. That's pretty much the track for all of them. They all get shot to the southeast from Cape Canaveral. It's actually brighter on the camera, which I guess is maybe normal. It's a little more reddish, but you can see the fumes behind it, or the gas cloud. Not sure what it is, you know. I guess the exhaust of some, I don't know if it's just vapor or. And they do them in the morning if you happen to be anywhere near Orlando or closer towards Canaveral. It leaves a pretty wild trail, like big swirly mass vapor. Probably harmful. Pretty cool. All right. I guess if something cool happens after that point.